there's always like a romantic undertone to it.
I already take up enough space in your twisted head.
Wednesday's like the one person who like wouldn't be afraid of him.
It's Caitlin Riley, and welcome to the Wednesday Season 2 official WOCast. There's a lot to unpack, so with the help of my producer buddy Thing and some amazing guests, I'm going to break it all down for ya. Hunter Doohan, aka Tyler Galpin, is coming to talk about all that juicy Hyde drama. Victor Dorobansu, the magician/actor genius behind Thing, is here. Plus, director Paco Cabezas is here to spill all the behind-the-scenes secrets from episode 2. I am delighted to welcome to the studio everyone's favorite villain. Well, would we call Tyler Galpin a villain? I'm not sure. Let's welcome Hunter Doohan. How are you, Hunter?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here with you.
Oh my gosh.
I'm also nervous because I've seen a lot of your content and you do a lot of making fun of things cringy actors say, and I don't want to be inspiration.
Well, it's going to be nothing but inspiration for me today. So
Awesome.
You're going to be the next victim. No, you're not. You're fantastic. Last season, Tyler was working in a coffee shop.
Yes.
But when we meet him at the top of this season, he's in Willow Hill, and he's fully Hyde-minded. He's Dark Tyler now. Is there something beneath the surface, or is he fully Dark Tyler?
Yeah, it was nice to not be full, just like nice coffee boyfriend this season.
Mm-hmm.
Like episode 8 was my favorite one from season 1. And so to like start there was really fun.
Right.
And yeah, so it's definitely a different vibe being like chained up and sweaty instead of just behind the coffee counter.
So this season, we see Tyler at his full Hyde capacity, but also we see him at his weakest. How did you approach playing his dual nature?
I think that they're kind of like intertwined because all like when he's at his weakest, all that pain, that's kind of underneath all of the rage. And
Right.
when he's at his most confident and trying to get under like Wednesday's skin. But yeah, I think those are totally interconnected for me.
Now, Tyler is dangerous and despicable on one hand, but on the other hand, he's a creature who becomes a servant to his master. Don't love that.
Mm-mm.
When you're playing him, do you sympathize with his situation at all?
Yeah, I have to, but he's killed like a few people.
It's not that big of a
Like,
deal.
come on.
It's a few people.
It's a fantasy show. Okay?
It's a few people.
He was being mind controlled in all
Exactly.
of season 1.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think you get it. You sympathize with him too.
Yeah, I get that.
The only thing you're pillaging is an extra fruit cup at dinner.
You act like you're the smartest person in the room, but you're not.
Then how come I ended up on this side of the bars?
Because you got lucky.
Now, the fans are so invested in the Tyler Wednesday dynamic. How would you define their connection?
I think for me, there's always like a romantic undertone to it. Maybe it's a little bit more one-sided this season from Tyler. Yeah, I think like my kind of way in for Tyler was to like Wednesday's like the one person who like wouldn't be afraid of him. For me, that like totally painted how I saw their relationship and what I played for the rest of the season.
So, what do you think of the place? It was originally designed for a schizophrenic werewolf who went on a full moon killing spree the summer of '92.
Ironic, considering you were thrashed by a werewolf.
It was inevitable your morbid curiosity would bring you here. I knew you couldn't resist seeing me again.
When Wednesday and Tyler finally meet again face to face
Yeah.
at Willow Hill Asylum, obviously
Cut
you
the
had
tension with a knife.
I know, like butter. But you have your specific dynamic in season 1, and it's changing so much in season 2. So what was working on that connection like?
Tyler's been like dreaming of this moment and like playing it over and over in his head ever since he got put into the cell. And so when she shows up, I think he's, trying to test the limits with her, trying to get under her skin, and like hoping maybe that she's even going to like provide a way out. And then I think what like really turns for him is when she says she reveals that his dad's been murdered, and then she's really just there to get information out of him, and she's not come to talk about them at all. And so then, he freaks out, turns into a monster as he does.
Who else would want him dead?
You looking for my help? Not flattered, but it's gonna be so much more fun watching you grope around in the dark.
Coming off the wild success of last season, how has it felt reuniting with the entire cast and creative team? Was it like clunky to start back up? How much time was between?
There was 2 whole years in between wrapping season 1 and starting season 2.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think we're all just excited to get back together, and then we were in a new location this time too, in Dublin.
Yeah, what was it like filming in Ireland?
Amazing. It was so fun.
Jealous.
And, yeah, I had like my full European summer dream, just
course.
traveling all over. It was great.
So what are some of your favorite memories from filming this season? Give me the goss.
Gosh.
Yeah. Who was the worst?
Who's
I'm
the
kidding.
worst? Owen Painter.
He's awful. He was the best. He was just in here.
I love him. Honestly, this season was so fun for me. I felt like I was like truly in like the Tim Burton of it all this time.
Yeah.
Because Tim directed the first 4 of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
I basically was like, can I get you a coffee? And like flirting, going to the school dance.
Shut up.
And so this time it was like getting to be, the full Hyde Tyler with Tim. It was like a lot more fun. And like, I think like he had more fun, like giving me ideas and stuff too.
Well, you were so great this season. I watched every single episode. Now get out of here.
Okay, what?
Bye. See ya. Get him off my set.
Saza's waiting list is 6 months long. How did you get her up to Jericho in a moment's notice?
She has a sore spot for disembodied appendages, and I tripled her usual fee.
I'm so mortified. We forgot Thing's birthday. It's unforgivable. I've been so preoccupied with the children and chairing the fundraising gala.
No. Fret not, Garabeja. Another hour in the Stasha's death touch. Thing will be in your hand.
Up next, we have a guy who really lent a hand to the production of this series. You could say he's really an all right kind of dude. I am delighted to be joined by the rest of Thing. Please put your hand together for Victor Dorobansu.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I found out something about you recently.
Oh.
You just got engaged.
Yes, Thing put a ring on it.
How did you propose?
I was in Amsterdam with her. We were in the Dam Square, and that's her favorite place in that city. It was like morning, the sun was up in the sky, empty, completely empty. And I was like, yeah, this is the moment. It was delightful. I'm so proud that I did that. I'm so
That
blessed.
is an amazing proposal.
Yes, thank you.
I got proposed to while doing the dishes. So
What? Why? How?
let's go to the first question. This season, Thing is struggling with his place in life,
Yes.
who he is, how he fits
Yes.
into the Addams clan. How do we see him navigating that journey?
I think Thing needed this kind of attention because in the first season, everybody was attached to this emotional side of Thing. And you have to be honest, and nobody expected that. Like, nobody expected people to get attached to this character.
Right.
I got attached to this character, even though I was not expecting it as well. The fact that we saw that in many fans, I think woke up this desire for the writers to create this mood in this season. The fact that they forgot about his birthday, for example. I didn't read the script before that scene, and I just found out that morning that I'm shooting this. And it was very easy to get into that mood because I felt the need for Thing to get more attention in that area.
Yeah.
So Thing being like sad and drunk, Thing being like grumpy with everybody because they forgot about his birthday, that was a very nice touch to this season that I hope that everybody enjoyed.
How was Wednesday and Thing's dynamic changing since last season? And what is it like bringing that dynamic to life with Jenna?
Well, I think that Wednesday this season got a little bit more involved in things personal life. So
Yes.
I think if you say it this way, is like she cares more about things now. She accepted that she has to treat him as part of the family. As for Jenna, she helps me a lot with things. Even with my performance, she gives me advice. She guides me into the work. When we were on set, sometimes I had really bad days and I was grumpy and stuff, and Jenna always makes me laugh, and just her presence is doing that to everybody on set.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know what's been happening with my psychic ability lately. There must be an answer in Goody's book. In my last vision, Enid dies and it's all my fault. Somehow it's connected to those birds. No one else can know about this, especially Enid. She's far too fragile to face her own impending doom.
So Enid and Thing also have a strong bond. Enid builds this house for Thing. It creates this little space for him. Why do you think they're drawn to each other? What's this connection that they have?
When Wednesday is angry, Thing has to have a best friend. So when Enid is around, Thing is like her best friend, low-key, not even with Wednesday knowing that. So I think that the fact that she felt bad for Thing's experiences in the first season, now she's trying to be more there for him. So that dollhouse was, I think, in Thing's opinion, because he's talking to me recently, it was something that gave him room to, I don't know, spend time with himself and getting into his life and have his personal space because he needed to.
You know what you need? A place you can call your own. And I've got the perfect spot. Home sweet home, Thing. Welcome to the pack.
This is obviously a very physical role for you.
Yes.
Coming into this season, how did you prepare to get back into Thing's headspace? Like, what's your process?
Well, if you go like in the day of shooting, it's not a big process. It's more like prosthetic makeup. That part is like the huge process in shooting Thing. Then when you get on set, it's a lot of work. I think, in my opinion, for the lights, because they have to place the lights in some way so they avoid me casting a shadow over the floor, the room, or other castmates, because we're shooting it together. And the process of filming it is very complicated for all the crew members, because you have to adapt of having a huge guy in the middle of the room next to the other actors and cut him out of the frame without cutting something else also.
Right. I was going to ask, like, what are the physical aspects of this? Because it's your body. You're essentially shrouded in a color that they're going to take out and delete.
Exactly.
And the focus is your hand. So, I mean, long days of filming and filming all those scenes.
It's painful. That's the short part of it. It's very painful because I'm not a very athletic guy. I'm trying to be, but I can manage stopping eating. But that's a thing that I should be prepared to do before shooting. But the positions I have to do, trying to avoid the casting shadows, trying to hide my body behind objects so I can make the work of VFX easier for the people that are working there. So that part requires to do mostly like flexibility and stuff like that. I should require a therapist on set every day,
I was going
right?
to say a masseuse.
A chiropractic or something.
Get Victor a masseuse.
Yes, I did ask for that.
He deserves it. He's engaged now. Get the man a masseuse.
Thank you.
He's planning a wedding. Now, you get into some really physical fight sequences this season.
Yes, I loved that.
You beat up a serial killer.
Yes.
Please tell me about filming that.
Well, that part was a new thing even for stunt people because we had to prepare like a month before. If you remember, we had a doll where Thing was hiding and he crashed the doll's face and jumped on his face.
Yes.
That part was a whole rigging for like weeks to do that doll and that breaking. And I had like a hydraulic arm pushing my arm for doing that. And each part of that scene, like each jump, each hit, each movement on his body, we think, was a different shot that we planned ahead and we rehearsed it. So it would have been cool to have a continuous shot, but in that specific thing, it was pretty complicated because I had to move my body around. So you see Thing in real life, but behind the scenes, it was me trying to dance around him so it doesn't look bad.
I want to talk about drunk hand acting. And obviously the logistics of a hand getting drunk makes no sense, but
Everybody was asking, how is he drinking? And I
How
was
is
like,
he
he's
drinking?
absorbing it.
he's
Like,
absorbing it,
yes.
exactly. But it was, I could tell just from your hand performance
Okay.
what a brilliant performance it was, because I was like, no, that's a drunk hand.
Well, honestly, I had an idea before doing this. I wanted to get drunk to do it, but they were like, no, Victor, you're not getting drunk.
No, Victor, you
I
cannot be drunk
honestly
at work.
tried to drink because it was like a rum bottle on set.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, okay, that's rum, I'll drink it. Big lesson, guys. Don't drink prop drinks. That's why I was asking about this
What
water
was
right here. It was something like food coloring or stuff. It was not rum, for sure. So we did that scene basically, I think we shot for like 3 or 4 hours.
Mhm.
We tried to do it without laughing our asses off. Everybody on set was ruining the scene by laughing and stuff. We stopped many times.
That's so funny.
But yeah, we basically improvised. Most of scenes are improvised. Even if we have a script, it's not always the same as other actors do because we have to improvise on set. We have to adapt his position and his interaction with other characters. So yeah, that scene specifically, I remember that Paco, that director that we shot with, he was literally throwing bottles. Then we had Miles on set saying, okay, you can put more bottles of rum there. We had a lot of fun shooting that one, I remember, yeah.
That must have been a lot of fun
Yeah,
to shoot.
yeah.
Anyone home? Thing, have you been drinking? How's that even? You know what? Doesn't matter. Could you just give us a second? Thank you. Thing, you've got a package, but I don't know if maybe it's for print day or maybe it's from Wednesday Stalker. It's your mugshot from the Normal, Illinois Police Department. There's a town called Normal? Who's Fernando Fingertips? Your first alias? Yeah, it is very catchy. Found this while cleaning out an old safe house. Happy birthday to my buddy from another body. Snickers and Wet Willies, your partner in crime, Fester. Thing? Is it your birthday? No, Wednesday didn't tell me. Did the entire Addams family forget it was your birthday?
Is there anything that you can tease or tell us about what the future holds for Thing?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes, my fingers are tied.
Come on.
No.
Come on.
Never.
Come on.
Never, never.
Please?
Never, never, never.
Please?
No.
Come on. I'll give you my ring.
No.
Okay.
I have one.
Okay. Get out.
Bye.
Right now, I am joined by director Paco Cabezas. Okay, let me just connect my crystal ball to the studio. It's not working. Hello? Ugh. Then can we let's just connect to a video call. It is an honor to welcome into the studio the director of episode 2, the one, the only Paco Cabezas. How are you today, Paco?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. I'm so glad. I'm so excited that the show is finally on.
I wanted you to talk me through your collaboration with Alan Miles on the script and how the collaboration was on set. How hands-on are they during filming?
Well, I know them very well because we worked together before in Into the Badlands, so we we know each other. And in that show, they were already asking me for crazy things because it was an insane kung fu show. And then when they called me for Wednesday, it was like, is this going to be bigger? And then it was bigger. So it was like, it's going to be like even more insane. It was more insane. So, first of all, I gotta say that I love the way they write. The dialogues are so smart, and the action and everything's connected so well together, and everything that happens in the episodes it's really amazing. And it really, I was already a fan of season 1, but in season 2, everything got like bigger in so many ways and better, in my humble opinion. So the collaboration was great. I mean, we were there most of the time on set, and like me, they're excited about what they do. I'm like a little child when I'm directing, and I get very excited, and I'm very passionate and energetic all the time, and I'm moving my hands a lot because I'm Spanish, I assume. And Miles and Al, they're also like that because they love this show, So normally when we have an idea on set, I remember we have Wednesday holding this eyeball, that she gets from a jar. And I was like, wouldn't it be great if the eyeball is right in front of her eye socket, And so we can make that very specific shot. And those little things or little details that I'm very detail oriented, and they are too, So we can get very, very specific when we're shooting shots, and sometimes we drive the actors a little crazy, but it is what it is.
You never believed the rules apply to you. And I applaud that. But you cannot bend your psychic ability to your will.
And you can't expect me to bend to yours. You cannot tell me to blaze my own trail and then put up all these roadblocks.
I'm not your enemy. I am your mother. Your ability is not a weapon to be deployed. It's a gift to be respected.
Now, following on from Wednesday waking up from her vision, she has this argument scene with Morticia about abusing her powers. I want to talk about filming that interaction with those two actresses. They're very much at odds this season. What was it like filming that scene?
I mean, first of all, they're great professionals, and they are so focused. Every time that we're shooting, I love them both. They're the biggest fan of Catherine and Jenna, but they're very different from each other. The funny thing is, like Jenna, she's very detail oriented, and every time she comes into the set, most of the time she's in character, and I love that she's always like thinking about what Wednesday would do, and sometimes in between takes she stays in character, and I love that. Sometimes I'm talking to Jenna and I notice when she's being Wednesday, when she's being Jenna, and I love that duplicity in a way, While on the other hand, Catherine. I love her so much. She's very passionate, and she's very, and sometimes I think for her, Morticia is all about the little movements, and it's all about how she tilts her head left and right. And she's a dancer, so she has to be very aware of her own body and how she moves, So every scene with them, it's all about the little details. So, and it's very interesting how you have to make a scene alive, and at the same time, it has to feel like a Tim Burton film or TV show, So it's kind of a challenge for the actors and the actresses, and it's a big challenge for me as director.
I admit, perhaps, there may have been times when we overstepped. I'm so sorry we depend on your steady hand so much. Don't take my poor relationship with Wednesday out on you. It's not poor. It's fraught.
You worked with Thing.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to talk about what it was like working with Victor.
It was so much fun. I mean, I love Victor, and
He's
it's
the
really
best.
fun. Yeah, it's a really funny guy. The thing is, like, it's such a complex show to shoot. It's such a challenge because on top of everything that I've said already, in almost like, I would say like 70% or 80% of the scenes, Thing was there, So you have to think, what is happening with Thing? What is he doing exactly in what moment? Is he moving? Is he doing this thing or that thing? So I saw myself most of the time, because normally I come 1 hour before the actors arrive to set, and I just think about what the scene is going to be and how would I shoot that and what's my proposal for the actors, because I wanted to feel like they're part of the creative team. So I don't want to go into the scene and go like, do this, stand there. I wanted to feel like we're creating this together, but you have to always come with a proposal. And I find myself on my own, like doing this thing all the time with my own hand, like saying, thing could be here. And then he could be doing that.
So you're mapping out things, movements before Victor gets there.
Yeah, and then Victor gets there and I'm go like, do you think this is correct? And it was like, yeah, that's not right, because in order to do this movement, I have to back up this way, and that doesn't make sense. I'm like, oh, of course. So we have to kind of like together build up the whole emotional arc of thing through the episodes and also through each scene, so it has to make sense. And in this episode, he's a little drunk. It's really funny. So we came up all with these little emotional details.
I forgot your birthday, and that's inexcusable. I hope this makes up for my memory lapse. It's an antique thumbscrew. Napoleonic era, designed by Anatole de Bleur, France's most notorious torturer. I'm willing to be your first victim.
Now, Wednesday is all over the Galpins in this episode. And she stumbles across Donovan Galpin's body. I want to talk through setting up that scene.
I come from independent horror, and Jenna herself, I don't know if you know this, but she loves horror movies. So many times on set, we were discussing horror films, and I was like, she was recommending me some films, and I was recommending her some films. So every time we had to approach a horror, I wouldn't call it horror per se, but it is in a way, it's within the world of Wednesday. There's this horror element, and in the scene we were thinking about the birds and Hitchcock and how to tell this story and how to reveal the character with the hollow eyes and the expression and all of that. And she loves that. So when I explained to her the references that I had. And normally I have a book that I build up through the shooting. It's like I get all the pages of the scripts and I cut them and I put them and I glue them in this book. And I do drawings and I take pictures from different movies and it becomes this little piece of art, I guess. But then I have this ritual, which is like every time that I shoot something, I rip it from the book and then I destroy it, and the books become smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. At first, it's like this big, and then I carry it in my backpack, and then it's at the beginning of the show, it's super heavy, and then it becomes like less and less and less. It's kind of this ritual that I have. So in the scene with the Galpin, I have all these references from the birds, and how Hitchcock shot that, So yeah, and then there's another scene in episode 3 that there was a big reference to The Shining. So it's I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Afterwards, Wednesday goes to visit Tyler in Willow Hill. I wanted to talk through the staging of that scene and how you wanted to portray Tyler and how you wanted to portray Wednesday and sort of the beginning stages of their relationship this season.
Yeah. Talking about references, that scene is a big reference to The Silence of the Lambs. It's one of my favorite films ever.
Yeah.
I was talking to Hunter and talking to Jenna on that scene and how we decided to have those chains. And in the end, if you think about it, there's a lot of like teen angst running through the show, and they hate each other, and they're attracted to each other. So we're playing around with a lot of that, So having Hunter without his shirt, and he looks great, It's like so.
He looks great.
It looks great. So having him in that cell and having that glass, that wall glass in the middle of them, in a way, you're telling with the set piece, you're telling the story, and how they approach each other. Like he goes super close to her, and they're like super, super close to each other, but there's a wall in between them. In the end, it's all about the little movements and the little details. And I think, Hunter, he's such a great actor. It's like all of them are. But when they were playing the scene and the words, the dialogues that Alan Miles wrote, they're so good. It was probably my favorite scene of the episode, that one.
Say hi to Enid for me. Tell her I'm gonna kill her the next time I see her.
Make her pay for sticking her snout in my business.
I want her screams to haunt you for the rest of your life.
You're right. I couldn't resist seeing you. Witnessing you chained and caged up makes my dark heart grin. Thornhill chose you to be her murderous marionette, not just because she saw some hide hibernating inside of you, but because she saw the real you. An expendable nobody.
The final set piece in Iago Tower. I mean, this is some edge of your seat stuff. You know what I mean? I wanted to talk about that scene, how it was developed and how it was executed.
Well, first of all, again, there was like the references of Edgar Allan Poe or even Sherlock. I remember watching the young Sherlock Holmes when I was like 10. And I love that idea of having a big mechanism that is going to kill you, you know? And there's something so beautiful about that thing, you know? And so the design of it was very complex because although you don't see it, although you tend to think that's not heavy, it was very heavy. And we were all about safety, of course, and we had like a lot of like safety devices to make sure that when that thing moved, it moved within all the safety standards. But at the same time, there was like a shitload of knives and this very heavy structure, you know. So we have to be super careful on how we shot it. Of course, what we did is that we shot it, although the audience doesn't notice that. When we were moving that structure, we were shooting with a lot of like split screens. So we didn't put the actors like below that thing just for safety. You know, it's like in fact it was super safe, but it was like I will never put an actor in any shape or form that could be in any danger. So we were shooting up with a lot of split screens, and then when you get like a shot of Emma's eyes and you have a knife like super tight, then of course what you're using is a very small like platform and it's super close to her, so it's not like the big one, you know. So every time what I've learned through the years is like what's on camera and what's off camera. What's off camera is even more important than what's on camera, so you can control the sensations of what the audience is feeling. It's like having Wednesday like going down and then playing with the whole mechanism and the books and the structures like lowering. It's a dream job for a director to be able to kind of like pace it up and playing with the music and the rhythm and the tension. You know, it's like I love that. It was a great scene to shoot.
I'm Agnes DeMille, your #1 superfan.
You don't seriously expect me to believe that you pulled off this elaborate prank solo.
I had a little help from some Da Vinci's after I blackmailed them with incriminating Snapchat pics. Perks of being invisible. I just asked myself, WWWD. What would Wednesday do?
It's my line, you little psycho!
I knew that if I came up with the most twisted game, I'd get your attention. I hope it's lived up to your exacting standards.
Evie.
Oh my God.
She is so fabulous as Wednesday's stalker. She's such a brilliant young talent. What was it like working with her? I'm obsessed with her.
Yeah, I mean, the scene where we reveal her at the end of episode 2, again, we played a lot with the mirror idea and the idea of the geometry. If you think about the set, how it's built, it's a cross, right? So it's like this path, these two paths that intersect in the center. So when I brought Wednesday into the scene, I thought, okay, I'm gonna get her right in front of her, and every steps that Evie takes, it has to mean something, you know. And she gets closer, and Wednesday gets closer to her, and oh my God, those eyes, you know, it's like every time that she just does this, I can't do it, but she just raises her chin and does this little movement with her eyes, you know, like, oh my God, she's so young, but so talented. And she's so like the perfect, kind of like arch enemy, sort of like companion to Wednesday in a way. You know, it's she's great. I mean, and I told her, you know, sometimes when I work with young actors, sometimes it can be very sensitive and sometimes it can be insecure. And since I've been doing this thing for 20 years now, when I see a young actor or actress and I see how great they are, sometimes I find the place in the right moment to tell them, you're great. Keep doing this thing that you're doing because you're absolutely great. Please do this. Please, you're going to do great things. And I remember telling this to Ivy, since she was so happy.
Yeah. Well, my gosh. I mean, this was so informative. It was so incredible to talk to you, Paco. Thank you so much for joining me. And I think you're pretty great.
Oh, thank you. You're pretty good yourself too. So
thank you.
keep
I
at
just
it.
called you great because I wanted you to tell me that I was great.
I know.
So, and you did. So that's good that worked out. In the next episode, I'll be joined by Isaac Ordonez, aka Pugsley, who will spill the tea on Slurp and Pugsley's new powers.
Just seeing him as a normal dude.
Yeah.
That was what was weird.
Oh, it's
I can
it's
see
Slurp.
both your eyes.
Right. Mark Sutherland, costume designer extraordinaire, on developing all the looks for season 2.
The essence of the character always has to be there, trying not to lose that iconic Wednesday look.
Plus, I'll be joined by Tristan Verslaus, the genius behind all of the crazy and slightly gross prosthetics.
From the beginning, Slurp was a big character for us to do. You know, everyone really wanted to create a very striking, iconic character.
That's all coming up on the next Wednesday Season 2 official WOCast. I'm Caitlin Riley. See you next time, my vicious piranhas.